Here.
Feigl.
Here.
Goodson. Rule. Howard. Mayor. Weigel. Wilhelmie. He's here. Winfrey. Here. And Brooks.
Here. Got a quorum. All right. Pledge. Mr. Ballard, Steve, would you lead us in pledge?
Pledge allegiance to the
flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Nick, would you be so kind? I got a little voice. Would you hand me a cup of water, please? I'll make sure Jim Harvey give you a tip. Whatever you feel is great. All right. We have no minute. Do we have anybody signed up for public comment? Any public comment? No public comment? Old business. Any old business? No old business? All right, new business. Number 1, request for award void bid for permit and case system. Rita, is Rita here?
Yes, she is.
Oh, okay.
Good morning, Mr. Speaker and committee members. We are asking to void this bid. I have an email from Mike Shea, ICT department, as well as an email from Mary Tatro that we are voiding the bid. It's exceeded the identified funding, and they're going to make some changes in the scope and specifications that we can't just negotiate.
All right, been moved by Chuck. Second. Howard. All in favor, signify by aye. No, ayes have it. Thank you, Rita. Number 2, request for award, lease bid. Rita.
This is the farm lease that we do. This is a 3-year award. We renew the contract every year because the acreage changes. This is farmland at Waste Management.
So moved.
Second.
Moved in second, got it. All in favor? Aye. No, ayes have it. You on the roll, Rita. Number 3, transfer proceeds vehicle. Moved. Second. Got it. All right, all in favor? Aye. No, ayes have it.
Thank you.
All right, are you through? Okay. One more. Request declare various equipment surplus. Moved. Second. Got it. All in favor? Aye. No, ayes have it.
We like to see you, Rita.
Yeah, good job, Rita. Keep up the story. Thank you. Wendy Garland, Nick Palmer, request to extend paratransit grant. Where's Wendy?
Wendy's here too. Okay. Good morning. This is a grant application that there was a deadline already for this, and our practice has been, if there's a deadline, we submit the grant, but we come to the board and ask for authorization for the grant. And what this is basically seeking funding to extend our paratransit efforts. And what we've been told is probably going to be mainly to keep Wendy's position going to fund that, which we get 80% of that paid for by the RTA, 20% local. It won't impact this year's county budget. This would be in next year's budget if we're successful. So we will deal with that when we plan for the next budget. But we're asking for a resolution just confirming that the county executive is signing that application. And we're hoping.
How much is the grant? How much? Remember, Wendy?
Wendy, do you
You remember how much the grant?
How much? Well, we're paying 20%, but what was the total amount for our application on this? Do you remember?
For this one?
Yes.
Right.
It should be on.
Is that on page? The application from your checklist? Is that what that is? It doesn't say.
The total requested amount was $205,000. But then you pay in a fare, so the local match was 98. That's for operations, so that's paid for by the municipal. It's a very small amount because we're not paying Wendy that much, but it's 20% of what we pay her. So I can get you a specific amount. Again, this is in next year's budget, so we will plan accordingly to make it work.
Okay.
That was for operations.
Oh, okay, because I looked at the local match. Okay.
The operations are being paid by the townships that are participating in the program or any other sponsors. The county is not incurring any of that cost.
You know, Mr. Speaker, when I looked at this, I was shocked that
The fare revenue was relatively low. I mean, they're only
getting 9,000 out of the total operating cost of 205,000. How come it's so low? I mean,
That's basically the amount that the riders actually pay,
Yeah.
but we have other subsidized monies coming in along with that.
It's really not even close to paying its fair share. I know we subsidize these things, but it's a big subsidy. I mean, it's just a federal comment. I mean, 9,000 and it costs you 205, that's a lot.
Correct. RTA covers 50% of the other portion of that cost. It's just been that way for years and years and years.
Any other questions? All right. Chuck?
And we talked about 20% salaries, this also include all the benefits.
It is, that does include, we pay with 20% of the total cost for Wendy's.
And that's our match?
That is all our matches, and we have thus far have not done any operation funding. All the operation funding, the actual running the buses is paid, the local match is paid by the local sponsors, so the townships or whomever.
And Wendy's work is not just on this grant.
No,
she covers.
She's doing other mobility efforts, working with Alicia Hanlon on transportation issues and things. We're trying to work together and collaborate wherever we can. So she's representing us on some of the advisory boards too, so the fair transit issue and other mobility issues. So.
Okay, any other questions? Mr. Howard?
Just comment on the fare structure there. Basically, the fare structure with the subsidies of the grant money, that allows the use of it by someone that, may not be able to afford that. So it keeps the fares low, and that's the idea here, is to actually keep the fares low. So, with senior citizens or whatever, or somebody using, job access, reverse commute, that type of thing. So it's a positive, I mean. And again, we pay RTA taxes, so basically we're getting something back for it. So.
Okay. All right, any questions? Okay, need a motion? Move.
Sorry.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
No, the ayes have it. All right. Next day there for number 6, request for approval of GIS.
I have Tom Zoe, who's our GIS director, is here also for any technical questions, but just to give you the quick overview, I'm not sure we actually need county board approval, but we thought it was a good idea to bring it to the board. This is in the budget. This is to purchase LiDAR data, which is data that is used to create high-resolution maps. It's often used by highway engineers, designers, and we're getting this at a very low price. It's through a state procurement process, and we needed to move quickly on this, so we're asking for just kind of the blessing of the board to move forward with this contract. Like I said, it was budgeted for this year's budget. You don't always hear about GIS, but they do provide a lot of the data that's behind other efforts in the county, so this is just letting you know we're doing this, and if we need a resolution, we'd love to have a resolution just saying we support this. We're estimating the cost not to be any greater than $110,000, and I think that's safe to say that's about a third of what we would pay if we did this by ourselves, so this is a good deal for the county, and it's through a procured state process. So.
Okay.
Nick, how do they actually obtain this information? Are these the aerials, or are these the drones, or what are these?
It is done by plane, and they use a type of laser device. Tom answered the Richard's aluminum on it.
But we need a resolution for this?
Yeah, I'd say let's get a resolution that just says we are moving forward this project, and Tom, is it safe to say $110,000 is our max cost? So you can do a not to exceed if that's better, but it's $110,000 is what we're estimating our cost to be for this.
Yeah, the state will cover whatever the cost, the balance, the state will cover.
Okay.
Not to exceed is fine with us.
Not to exceed
$110,000.
Okay. Move. The motion, it was moved?
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
No, the ayes have it. All right, thank you. Number 7, request for IEMA grant, Derek O'Sullivan.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Before you today is EMA grant. It's It's associated with our flood buyout program that we're currently engaged in. This grant is really the FEMA side of the grant. We have a grant that we're currently, an agreement currently operating under with the Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity. This grant is necessary to complete this flood buyout program that we're currently doing.
Any questions? All right, motion. Moved by Mr. Houston. Was there a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor, signify by aye. Aye. No, the ayes have it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Derek. Number 8, the praise for hires for Sunday Hill Nursing Home. You have that in your packet. It's been moved by Denise Winston. Second. Diane. All in favor, signify by aye. Aye. No, the ayes have it. Do we have any proclamations, any resolutions? We do.
Actually, we have recognizing February as Black History Month. And recognizing Eagle Scout, Carnezes. And we haven't brought forth that there's been a request from the state's attorney to make an announcement regarding a children's advocacy fundraiser meant so that he can make an announcement and come forward as well.
So he wanted to come in? Oh, he wasn't? Okay. So we need someone to recognize Black History Month? Okay.
That's fine.
And the Afro-Americans?
Would you like to?
Would
you like to? Okay.
And then the Eagle Scouts?
I got him.
You have that?
Yes, I submitted his
I
name.
think Margot McDermott should go down with you.
Okay.
It's her district, and she's been, her and her husband and her family is extremely involved in scouting. Her husband's still on the Rainbow Council, and I do think that.
Well, let me suggest this. Let me suggest Margot McDermott and you come down with her.
Well, I submitted his
I
name.
know you submitted it. I know that it's a relation, Joe.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying that it is Margot's district. She's extremely involved in scouting. She has been for 20 years plus.
Okay.
And I think that she should go down. Who reads it? I don't.
I agree.
But she should be down with you.
I agree. Joe.
I'll read it, yeah.
Okay, I agree. It should be. Okay? And the state's attorney will make the announcement for it. Okay. All right. All right. You all have the appointments by the county exec? There are none? Wow. All right. Any other new business? Any other new business? No other new business? All right. Committee reports. Mr. Weigel.
We have 2 zoning cases and 2 resolutions. Nothing controversial here.
Any questions? Any questions? Thank you, Tom. Number 2, finance. Steve,
He stepped out.
where is he?
I don't know if he's in the coffee room or where he's at.
All right, don't pass it. Let's move on. Number 3, public works transportation. Wally?
Fellow board members and Mr. Speaker, we had a couple of cases. The first one was for NICOR gas and reimbursement relocating facilities along McDonough Street, County Highway 3, and County Drug Districts 8 and 10, using the RTA tax funds of $550,000. And our second one was a resolution authorizing an agreement between the County of Will and Topaz Joint Ventures for the purchase of wetland banking using RTA tax funds in the amount of $12,000. That was located in District 1. And that was essentially it. Our next Public Works and Transportation Committee is scheduled for March the 4th at 8:30. We'd enjoy it if you all wanted to come and see how we do things. All right. Thank you very much, and happy Valentine's Day.
Any questions? Thank you, Wally. Judicial, revival.
Judicial has been exceedingly busy as of late. We had, so busy we've had 2 meetings this month. The first one involved the court-appointed special advocate program. They are requesting that the county board exercises authority that we have under state law to create a new fee that would enable them to impose a fee on all felons, those who have been convicted of felons in this county, as well as certain classes of misdemeanors, petty misdemeanors, and some business offenses that would allow them to have, they project possibly up to $50,000 per year to help them fund the CASA program in Will County. Right now, with their current funding, they're only able to serve about 50% of the children who are abused and neglected in the county. With this additional funding, they anticipate being able to hire an additional supervisory special advocate and part-time one, so full-timer and a part-timer. So we discussed that this month about the possibility of maybe giving them that power to have that new fee. It's important that we understand that this would be a new fee as opposed to a fine, in addition to the other fees and fines that our court system imposes. And the reason being that when all said and done and monies are collected from defendants, it has to be divided up between the municipal and county courts. And what's left over sometimes doesn't get to all the parties that have their hands out. So we're going to continue this discussion next month in judicial. That was part one of the judicial committee side of this month. Later in the month, we had a joint meeting with land use, and at which we discussed the possibility of implementing a statute of limitation for violations of land use and building codes. And we resolved amongst us at that meeting this week that this is something that, with the concurrence of the executive committee, we probably should better place in land use exclusively. The reason being that this kind of thing requires technical expertise, in that there are state laws that come into play here, mandates on zoning requirements and land use requirements that are subject matter that don't really involve judicial. They involve technical aspects that we have to comply with because they're state law matters involving safety, public safety. And so I think that the executive committee has to give us its blessing to refer this matter out of judicial and back to land use when it comes to the statute of limitations being further discussed.
Okay.
And we had intended for the statute of limitations to be something that goes hand in hand with the aerial photography issue, and both matters would be then the subject of a public hearing matter. So I think that that's what we still intend to do, and so we're going to probably take this whole matter totally out of the hands of judicial and put it over into land use for discussion next month.
Okay, okay. And CASA, back to CASA for a minute. She did request $15.
Yes,
right?
it was
Okay.
reduced from
She reduced it to
$20 to $15.
Right, right.
That's
Okay.
correct.
Okay, all right. Mr. Ballard, question?
As far as the aerial photography, I think that we should separate that out and go to public hearing on it alone, rather than wait for the statute of limitations, which may end up, since it's going to be in land use, which I disagree with. I made that very clear, that it should stay in the joint committee because there's more people talking about it. And, you know, that thing may go on for months and months and months. So let's, the aerial photography's been pretty much settled. So why don't we take that out, get a public hearing on that, and pass that one, then work on the statute of limitations. But again, I voted no, and a couple other people voted no, and put it to land use, because they said the land use was experts. And if you really think about it, I got elected and I got appointed to the committees I did. I could have been on land use. Now, I am not an expert. I'm learning as I go. So, you know, why don't we take off, basically what I'm saying, move the aerial photography out of it, do a public hearing on it.
Do you have another joint meeting scheduled, Reed?
I have no problem with severing the two issues so that we could go forward with just the aerial photography matter and arranging for that to be a public hearing on that particular issue soon, and just deal with the statute of limitations and land use exclusively. The land use matter, for example, we were apprised of the issues that involve with building code violations, for example. The whole building code, it turns out, is pretty much based on the premise that public safety or safety generally is the whole underlying matter when it comes to the building code. And so where a door is placed, where windows are placed, that sort of thing, has to do with all kinds of things that we as lay people on both committees are not necessarily aware of. Things like radon gas.
Rather than that, I think that should be discussed in the committee. However, Tom, you guys have another joint committee schedule?
No, we don't. When it comes to the statute of limitations, that's something that the two committees voted that should go to land use exclusively.
Okay.
But of course, since we have a committee system here, and we can't just do that without executive committee making that happen.
And did I hear you did concur with Mr. Ballard?
I concur with Mr. Ballard that in order to get the aerial photography issue settled, that rather than keeping it paired with the statute, we should sever those two issues and go forward with the aerial photography issue separately.
Okay. Mr. Howard?
Yeah, I agree with Mr. Balich. I don't think we should leave the aerial photography issue up in the air at this time.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Howard. Any other questions? Mr. White?
Make a motion that the statute of limitations be referred to the land use committee for further action.
It has moved and second, Chuck. All in favor, signify by aye. Aye. No? Ayes have it. It shall be. Thank you.
And I have nothing for
all right. All right. Public health and safety, Mr. Beck.
You want to revert to Steve first, Steve, for finance?
Okay. All right, let's go back to finance, Steve. Okay.
Darn, I thought I was going to be able to sneak in here. We had a meeting, we talked about a couple things, we have a couple resolutions on the agenda. The transfers are all within individual people's budgets, so none of those were unusual. The abatement to United Cold Storage, it's been there, the facility's been there quite a while. It's a Wilmington kind of icon now, and they've done a great job of hiring, and they're going to provide some additional good jobs. And the emergency telephone system surcharge reallocation is something we do every year. And if anybody has any questions, I can try to answer them.
Okay. Mr.
Mr. Chairman, and Steve, I have no questions about the items on the current agenda here, but I do want to ask about addressing some of our current labor agreement negotiations, specifically the arbitration rulings that came down and how they're going to impact us financially. I know that won't be on this county board meeting, but I guess I'm asking, is the intent to place it on your next meeting, or we're going to have or your intent to have a special meeting, which we talked about briefly yesterday?
Yes. We talked about it at Insurance Personnel on Tuesday. We'll be having a joint Insurance Personnel and Finance Committee meeting. We're not sure if it's going to be at our next regularly scheduled Finance Committee. If we get the information sooner, I think I'd like to have that meeting as a special meeting, but I'm not sure if they're going to be able to have those calculations done sooner than the first Tuesday of next month. So we'll keep everybody posted. I also would like to schedule some time with the Sheriff's Department and kind of talk about some other, what their plans are to do some of these things before we have that Finance Committee meeting. So I'm thinking it probably won't be until the first Tuesday of March because of all those things I'd like to do. And because I got a lot of taxes I got to do.
That's right. Second or a living.
Okay. Any other questions? Steve, was that?
That's my report.
That's it. All right, thank you. All right, back to you, Mr. Babbage.
Okay, first of all, we got the Regional Office of Education quarterly report. 13.312 is the ordinance amending Will County Code of Ordinances, Chapter 93, pertaining open burning or nuisance fires. That again is going to be tabled. And then we have 11 resolutions authorizing the county executive to execute intergovernmental agreement between the County of Will and the City of Braidwood for the provision of animal control services, the Village of Shanahan, the Village of Elwood, the Village of Godley, Village of Homer Glen, Village of Manhattan, Village of New Lenox, Village of Plainfield, Village of Shorewood, Village of Simmerton, and Wilmington for the provision of animal control services. Dr. Shields says that there was no increase in cost, and that concludes my report. Our next meeting will be March 13, 2014 at 8:30.
So 13-312 is going back to your committee for
Yes.
discussions. Okay. All right, any questions? All right. All right. Insurance and personnel, Diane Zaborski.
Okay, Steve pretty much covers what we had. Essentially during our meeting, it was executive session for the discussion of what was going on in the arbitration of the hearing outcomes. Our next meeting is going to be a joint meeting because obviously it was found that we need to have the financial background information pulled up before any decisions on our part can be made. So, again, just to reiterate, we're tentatively scheduled for March 4th together, unless we can get those numbers together sooner, in which case Mark Bennett, our labor attorney, is on board with that. So,
Okay, any other questions? Thank you. Capital Improvement, Denise Winfrey.
I'm happy to go ahead. That puts me in front of Bob Howard, who is legislative.
Oh, did I skip one? Oh, okay. Wow.
This is all whacked out today.
Oh, you could not help it. Thanks, Chuck. Legislative and Policy, Bob Howard.
Good morning, Mr. Speaker. I believe we will have the federal legislative agenda to bring before the board this month. We also received a briefing from our state legislative lobbyist. Julie Curry was there. And I'd like to remind each and every board member, if they have any questions or if there's any piece of legislation that concerns them or they'd like to be monitored, contact Bruce Friefeld, Suzanne Hart, or myself, or you, Speaker Brooks, and then actually we'll get things done. So look forward to next month's meeting.
And Bob, since you have Joe's, I was thinking about putting the statute of limitation on your remarks anyway. Denise Winfrey, Capital Improvement.
Good morning, Mr. Speaker. Capital Improvements has just the one resolution regarding Tucson Engineering. That's the RFQ for the radio system. That's the only thing we have. Our next meeting will be March 10th.
Okay.
9:30.
Very good. Any questions? All right, thank you. Airport, Don Moran.
We did not have a meeting this previous month. The vice chairman and myself did meet with the Council of Eastern Will County Mayors. We will report that out in committee. Coming before the board, though, this month will be a resolution designating the purpose of the committee, and that passed on to committee last month. So thank you very much. The next meeting will be March 6th at 8:30 a.m.
Questions? No? All right. The only else I have, there's actually training after this. I've been asked, they want to take a photo of all 26 county board members on next Thursday, before the county board meeting. And if anybody's not here, we're going to do another one. Well, we'll try to do another one. Okay? Hold up a picture of them if they're not here.
Leave a space for it.
Photoshop.
You can do Photoshop? No, you're going to have to do a photo.
Okay, that's all the announcements that I have. We have no executive session? All right.
Oh, yeah.
I need a motion for the agenda. Second. Wally? Steve, second. All in favor? Aye. No, the ayes have